And joining me now is Democratic Representative from Washington and ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee, Congressman Adam Smith. Thank you very much for being here. So here we go. We're unpacking it all. We've got what happened yesterday in Alaska, what we're looking forward to on Monday. I want to get your take on it all. But first, let's take a quick listen to Putin yesterday together, and we'll talk on the other side.
I tried to convince my previous American colleague that the situation should not be brought to the point of no return when it would come to hostilities. And I said it quite directly back then, that it's a big mistake. Today, when President Trump saying that if he was the president back then, there will be no war. And I'm quite sure that it would indeed be so. I can confirm that.
All right. So, Putin is saying there would be no war between Russia and Ukraine if Trump had been president. And we know that Russia attacked Ukraine just hours ahead of this meeting and reports after as well. So, what do you think how do you think that Zelensky will react to that when he meets with Trump on Monday? Go ahead.
Yeah, this summit was a significant step back in any effort to end the war. I mean, the weakness that President Trump showed in front of Putin will simply embolden Putin going forward. Putin got everything he wanted out of this summit. We got nothing, and the prospects of moving towards peace went backwards without question. I mean, this sort of harkens back to the way President Trump was acting at the start of his administration, which was giving Putin a complete pass for his invasion and placing all of the blame on Zelensky and Ukraine. Look, I agree with your previous guest that what we need is a united front to show strength to Vladimir Putin. We have a 53-nation coalition that has been helping Ukraine defend itself for some time. That 53-nation coalition needs to remain together and strong and united. But when President Trump allows Vladimir Putin to spin the war the way he did and just meekly sits there without saying anything about it, as if this war isn't pure and simply Vladimir Putin's fault, that emboldens him. And now a ceasefire is apparently off the table, so that piece of pressure is off. Putin is allowed to continue to prosecute his war while President Trump basically weakens our position. So, I mean, President Trump could have said something, anything during the course of this summit that said, that this war was started by Vladimir Putin. This is Russia's fault. He could have said, we're going to put sanctions on you if you don't stop it. Instead, he sat there meekly as Vladimir Putin spun the war in his favor. So this is a step back, without question, to getting us to an end to this war.
But wait a minute, meekly? I mean, do you really feel like that's how it went?
Well, what did President Trump say? Vladimir Putin basically said, hey, I tried. I didn't want to start this war. They put me in an impossible position. So here we are. I'm sure if Trump was there, everything would have been fine. Did Trump say anything? Did he say anything like, no, Vladimir, you started this war. You did not have a legitimate security justification for this war. Ukraine in no way threatened Russia. You started a war of aggression to take over territory that you don't have a right to. No, he just listened to him and let him say it. Actually was quite happy about it, obviously, because it hit the big thing that the President Trump seems to care about, which is to make it look like, if he was in charge, everything would have been fine. And of course, that's really funny because he is in charge right now. Right. But everything is very much not fine.
Yeah.
The war has been accelerating for 8 months since President Trump got in office. And yet he wants to live in this mythical world where simply by the sheer force of his personality, all the world's problems go away. Peace in the Middle East, peace in Ukraine. The only problem is it doesn't happen because you got to do the work to make it happen.
Listen, I got to ask you about former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. She actually has said, I'm sure you've seen this, that she would nominate the president for the Nobel Peace Prize. Things go well. Let's take a listen to that.
He could bring about the end to this terrible war where Putin is the aggressor, invading a neighbor country, trying to change the borders. If he could end it without putting Ukraine in a position where it had to concede its territory to the aggressor, if we could pull that off, if President Trump were the architect of that, I'd nominate him for a Nobel Peace Prize.
I mean, what do you think of that?
Well, she did not say what you said she said. Okay. Look, if Donald Trump is able to end this war and preserve a sovereign democratic Ukraine, if he's able to actually end the war in the Middle East, stop the war that's going on in Gaza right now. If he were to ever actually achieve any of the things that he claims he can just snap his fingers and achieve, sure, once we step into that alternative universe, yeah, no, I'd be wide open to that conversation. But it hasn't happened, first of all, very clearly hasn't happened. And second of all, we need to analyze, okay, what just happened at this summit in terms of moving us closer to that outcome or further away from it? And I think we moved further away from it because Vladimir Putin was given a complete pass once again. No pressure on him, no threats of sanctions, no threats of any action whatsoever. I mean, the conversation's fine. Look, I'll give President Trump credit. I think it makes sense to have a conversation with Vladimir Putin. You have to have a dialogue, but you also have to show some strength and not just let Putin spin the entire conversation in his direction.
And we'll see. I don't know if we're going to get a readout of what happened behind closed doors, but, hopefully more is to come on that. Listen, I want to turn to the Democratic Party and the New York mayoral race.
So just one final thing on that.
Okay.
Whatever happened behind closed doors isn't nearly as important as the broader public message. And that is the opportunity that was missed. I'm sure they'll lie about what was said behind closed doors, but what we actually saw, what the world actually saw, not helpful.
All right. Well, we'll just keep the topic to the big news of the day, and we've got to end it there for time. Ranking member of the House Armed Services Committee, Democrat Congressman Adam Smith. Always good to have you on the program. Thank you for your perspective. Appreciate it. And coming up, Hurricane Erin rapidly strengthening to a Category 4 in the Atlantic.